Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the 5 Steps to Freedom webinar. I'm Shane Spears with Summit Scale Coaching. Let me just start by asking everyone just to type into the chat window and let me know if you can hear me. Should be able to type into the chat window and let me know if you can hear me. Great, good. Got 1 or 2 responses. Looks like people are able to hear me. Okay, so let's dive straight in. By the way, I do want to encourage you as we go through the material to post questions or in the Q&A or comments in the chat. I'll spend about 60 minutes today talking through the material I've prepared, and we'll spend the remainder of the time answering what questions I can. So again, welcome. And my purpose today is, as we go through this webinar, to share with you what we've discovered to be the most powerful approach to increasing your profitability, building an amazing team, and freeing up your time through small business ownership. And it's a concept called the 5 Steps to Freedom through business. Now, again, in the chat window, would love to have you respond to me when I ask questions from time to time. But how many of you would love to have these 3 things happening in your life and business? It's kind of a no-brainer. But go ahead, let's make sure the chat window is working. Make sure that everyone is in the right place. Great. So my other purpose today is to help you as a business owner is to increase the value of your business by investing in the level of business education and coaching that's right for you. And in doing so, will help you increase your profitability, build an amazing team, and free up your time. So welcome, and again today, and congratulations for being here. So who am I? Well, I'm the founder and principal coach at Summit Scale Coaching. For the last few years, I've coached small to mid-sized business owners with clients across the globe, including the UK, North America, Middle East, Asia, Africa, and Australia. I help them to dramatically grow their profits year on year, build effective teams to help them run their businesses and get time back for themselves. I've coached in a broad range of sectors, including, amongst others, agriculture, the arts, healthcare, energy, professional services, real estate, construction, technology, and manufacturing. In 2021 and again in 2022, CEO Monthly's Global CEO Excellence Awards recognised me with one of their awards as Business Coaching Leader of the Year UK. Formerly, I was the CEO of a group of 7 SME companies. I managed the combined revenue growth of 300% from 8 million to 25 million in a single year, and ultimately sold 2 of the companies for multi-million sums. And prior to that, I was the managing director in a FTSE 250 business unit, part of a leadership team that grew a real estate business 2,000% from small to medium enterprise to a FTSE 250 publicly listed company in 8 years. And as managing director of operations, I was responsible for a 240 million revenue business. I led a team of 1,200 people, serving 40,000 customers across 23 cities. And most importantly, happy married to my wife, Claire, and whom we're raising 2 teenage children and 1 chocolate Labrador. And if you're curious about the accent, being originally a Kiwi, I love my rugby and cricket. Well, entrepreneurship is thriving, and as many of you know, many in small business. Here's the reality facing entrepreneurs. In the UK, we have over 6 million SME businesses that have enough substance and enough growth to have payroll employees, but fascinatingly, 98% of those businesses have fewer than 100 full-time employees. And we know from a lot of research that's been done that out of every 100 independently owned small businesses, about 90 of them will fail within 10 years. And that's really sad, but true. And some of the research that's been conducted that helps us understand why 90% of small businesses fail in 10 years, 78% of them lack a solid plan, 73% of them are overly optimistic about their ability to sell, to generate revenue, 77% are not pricing their products or services properly, and probably the scariest one, 70% don't recognize or even ignore their weaknesses and don't seek help. So that's the plight of the entrepreneur today. The good news is that business coaches reverse this trend. So what is a business coach? Well, a business coach is a person who comes into the life of a business owner and mentors the entrepreneur in growing their business so that that incremental cash flow more than pays for their customized education. So that's what I do. I'm a business coach, and I'm really passionate about all the content that we're going to be discussing today for that reason. And of course, All of that underscores what the former president of Harvard University, Derek Bott, and others have said. If you think education's expensive, man, you should try ignorance. So the question I want to ask is, for the next hour, can I be your business coach? It will, if you let me be your business coach for the next hour, I'll go ahead, just type something in the chat window. Let me know, you know, while we're going to have some great fun together. Who knows, it maybe even done a little before the hours, but you're going to learn a lot and we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's begin with what we think, just a couple of concepts about the way we think. Every successful entrepreneur knows that there are challenges in life and challenges with growing a business, but the real difference between a successful entrepreneur and one who's not so successful is the way we react to challenges. So we have basically two ways we can react to the challenges that life sends our way, and we refer to this concept as being above or below the line. Now, when life or business sends us a challenge, we can do one or two things. We can either blame everything around us, blame ourselves, blame the economy, blame the government, blame our employees, blame our spouse, blame our business partner. We can always find someone or something to blame. But what we know in our experience as business coaches is that successful entrepreneurs discipline themselves to stay above the line. So instead of blaming, they take the posture of learning. So another way to say this is, if you can be a victim or you can be a victor, you can be a whiner or you can be a winner. And what it comes down to is how you react to the challenges, and that will determine whether or not you win or lose in business. So that's what we're going to be looking at for the next hour or so, and you know, be open and be willing to be above the line and learn some things about business. Brilliant. So one of the keys to learning is understanding the concept that we call the aha zone. I'm going to take you through a little journey over the next hour. You can learn some things about business, and the aha zone is basically that place we pass through when we're learning new things. So every time we step into something new, even if it's running a new business, just learning a new skill, we're going to go through this aha zone. And I'm sure there's, you know, a lot of you on watching the webinar who are fairly new in business, who can really relate to what I'm talking about. So whenever we learn something new, or our skill level is low, or our skill level is low, and our confidence as a result is low. So what that means is we're going to have a pretty high level of anxiety. And you can see on the screen, confidence is low, anxiety high. And how many of you, you know what I'm talking about? How many of you experienced this when you've gone through the learning process, something new? In fact, how many of you are in the middle of learning something new right now and are feeling some of this? The good news that is, if we persevere through the process of learning the new stuff, our skill level will eventually begin to increase, and so then will our confidence, and as a result, our anxiety will begin to come down, our fear will begin to come down, our mental state will begin to improve, and pretty soon we look back and say, well, I've just passed through the aha zone. I'm feeling pretty confident. My skills up. I'm starting to make money. And this is just the way, you know, life and business works. So now, specifically for business owners, there's a lot to learn. And through our years of coaching, we found that businesses go through a very predictable set of organizational development steps. And every business owner is going to pass through these stages, and as long as you continue to learn and not blame and don't give up, and you can pass through these 5 steps to freedom in business. So let me just explain to you each of these 5 steps. The first step we call creation. You know, how many of you have ever actually taken a business through the creation step? You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Every business comes into the market in this place of basically being irrelevant to the marketplace because it's being created. And what you're typically doing at this stage is you're researching, you're trying to figure out what kind of business model will work in this market. You're beginning to create the model so that you can go to market and make money. And once you've launched, you've rolled that out, you head into what's called the chaos phase. And the chaos phase is red for a reason. It's because there's usually a lot of bloodshed at this step. And there's a few things that go on in the chaos step. You're spending money like crazy, you're investing, and you're driving your business to grow, and you're building a team to help your business break through and survive another day. And it's just such a challenge because you have to just push through the chaos and get this thing on the road. And so many challenges that we face when we're taking a business through the chaos step. But when we make it to the third step, which is control. And at the control step, what you're doing is in your business is you're starting to create significant cash flow, and as you generate cash flow, your operations become more organized and predictable, and you begin to measure what's going on in your business and incentivize your team members to find out, to make adjustments to how you're running the business. And because what you're trying to do is get your business to continue expanding into this fourth step, which we call prosperity. And what you're doing there is you focus on economizing the business. You're economizing, systemizing your operations, trying to squeeze out more efficiency out of the business and trying to generate maximum profit. And with that profit, you're typically investing in more assets and higher quality team members. And so we all start to specialize in our areas of expertise, which allows the business to keep on growing. We're also deleveraging at this stage, paying back some of the debt that we've almost accumulated, either through investments or loans as we plow through the chaos stage. And then we get through the prosperity stage. We then have the ability to move into the freedom stage. And the freedom stage is just that place where we can reproduce the business. We can start new businesses or branches or outlets. We can acquire other businesses, and we can harvest and enjoy the fruits of our labor in the form of free cash flow, free time, and freedom of mind. And many people go into business because they dream of that freedom. Michael Gerber has written probably the most authoritative book. It's stood the test of time. It's called The E-Myth. And he talks about the entrepreneurial myth, the myth that anyone who can come in and start a business and do well and will have your dreams come true. And that's really what motivates a lot of people to start a business. But the reality, what most people learn in business is that we start a business, and getting through these 5 steps takes a lot longer than we think, because most people who start businesses are technicians. We're good at building houses, designing websites, cutting hair, cooking fabulous food, doing whatever. And you can be doing a business based on what you're good at, but learning how to be a great business owner can take a lot longer than most people expect. And so that's my job today in this webinar. What I want to do again is my purpose is to teach you how to increase your profitability, build an amazing team, and free up your time. In short, I want to help you accelerate your way through the 5 steps to freedom. And that's what our mission is today. If that sounds good, let's keep sticking around. So in fact, here's a question, I'd love to see your response to it. As you think about your business, which step on the 5 steps to freedom are you most focused on at this time? Which of the 5 steps to freedom are you most focused on? And as you think about that, now you can look at these and think about these, and it's not uncommon to say, well, yeah, I can probably identify with several of those, but which of those would you say most predominantly characterizes what you're working on right now? And how much value to you would there be in knowing the 3 or 4 things that you need to be focused on right now, depending on which step you're on at business? So if you're saying, hey, I'm in the chaos stage, or I'm in the control stage, or I'm just really getting my business started, how much value would there be for you in knowing exactly what to do to get through that step and right now as quickly as possible? And obviously there's a lot of value, and that's why we do what we do here at Summit Scale Business Coaching. We have what we call our silver bullets, and that helps businesses accelerate to each of these 5 steps to freedom. So I want to introduce you to what we call our 21 silver bullets. So first of all, what do we mean by a silver bullet? Well, it's a metaphor for a simple, seemingly magical solution for a difficult problem. And we have our 21 silver bullets. They are strategies to get you through the 5 steps to freedom. And I'm going to take you on a quick tour of these through this webinar. And so here's our list of 21 silver bullets. And as we go through this list, I'd like to think about which of these silver bullets stand out to you. We've got a few that help you recapture time. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling like your business is just consuming your entire life and you don't have enough time in the day, we typically work on one of these 4 silver bullets related to time: an apprenticeship plan, an operations training manual, a time management plan, or a comprehensive exit strategy. And then we have 10 silver bullets that help you build a high quality team that can run a business for you. So a strategic plan, the team building system, the KPI system, the performance incentive plan, employee acquisition plan, psychometric profiling process, team meeting rhythm, lean program, the organizational plan, and the leadership development plan. So if your issues are around team, these are the strategies we focus on first. And then we've got silver bullets to help you improve your profitability and cash flow. your USP and guarantee, your revenue and profit budget, your current business plan, the break-even plan, tactical marketing plan, sales management system, and the cash gap plan. And so these are the 21 silver bullets. So which of these do you believe you need the most help with and will be the most beneficial to your business? Let me hear your thoughts. And which of these 21 silver bullets do you believe you need the most help with and will be the most beneficial to your business? Put them in the chat box. That will help let me know how to serve you best as we go through this webinar today. Well, let's take a look at step number one, which is the creation step. At the creation step, we focus on these 4 silver bullets: the unique selling proposition and guarantee, which is a value proposition, a persuasive value proposition that removes the risk and compels your ideal customers to do business with you. And we're building a strategic plan which lays out really the battle plan, if you will, for growing your business. And that includes a revenue and profit budget that shows us what kind of revenue is required to cover all your costs and personal drawings. And then we'll typically roll the strategic plan and the revenue and profit budget up into a current business plan. So these are the kind of things that we do at the creation stage. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about the first one, because this is one where most people are going to make it in business that get right. And so the first silver bullet we focus on is creation step. It's the unique selling proposition and guarantee. And really what we need to do is help you differentiate your business. And to do this, we need to help you understand the diffusion of innovation theory. And it's a theory that seeks to explain the life cycle of new ideas and technologies. And here's how it works. Whenever a new technology or a new idea comes to the market, a very small group, about 2.5% of the innovators, will take it on. Try the technology or implement the idea, and then you move into the early adopter phase, and you've got a growing percentage of those who will try it out. But then you've got the early majority picking up steam, late majority, and then finally the laggards. So let me ask you this question. Go ahead and put your responses in the chat window. Where do you want to be on this curve if you want to make a profit in your business? Anybody have any ideas? Where do you want to be on the diffusion of innovation curve to make a business and profit? Let's just have a look. Yeah, so that's right. Every business has to make sure that their products and services that they're selling are on the left-hand side of this innovation curve to make profit. So let's explore why this is true. So let me give you an example. How many of you remember when you got your first mobile phone? Kind of depends on your age, but I remember I got my first mobile phone when the mobile phone industry was in the innovator stage. It was the kind of mobile phone you looked at into somebody's car and said, "Hey, who's sitting in that passenger seat?" Well, oh, that's not a person, that's a mobile phone sitting on that passenger seat. In the early days of innovation, very few people had them. They were very expensive. Then, of course, as time moved on, early adopters, we had Nokia, who really started to get a foothold, and then early majority, late majority, and BlackBerries were really prominent. And it reached a point in the late 90s, early 2000s, where just about everybody, it seemed, had mobile phones except some eccentric religious sects. And then you started seeing even the religious sects got mobile phones, right? And so if I were coaching a mobile phone retailer at the time, we'd probably be seeing a real slowdown in their revenue and profits. And if we looked at the diffusion of innovation curve, and you would say, frankly, you have to get out of this business. And I'll tell you why. You've got to find a business or find a way to differentiate yourself, because at this point, the market has moved to the late majority. And so where do you want to be? You want to be in that early adopter, early majority. And, to make money in business, and small business in particular, you want to be at an early adopter or early majority. If you're in the innovator phase, if what you're doing is too innovative, nobody's going to spend money with you because it's too new of an idea. If you're in the late majority, there's such a downward pressure on price because there are so many suppliers in the market that you have to make it on volume, which most small businesses can't. So most small businesses, to really have a go, have to play in that early adopter, early majority space. So as a coach, I would be saying, hey, you're not going to make money selling mobile phones like everyone else. We've already gone way past the curve. I'd be encouraging that owner to get into a different business. Well, in the early 2000s, Steve Jobs at Apple did what businesses have to do when they want to be in an industry that's already moved on to the far right. He basically reinvented the business. In 2007, Apple launched its first iPhone. Steve Jobs described the phone as combining, three products into one handheld device: a phone, an iPod, and a wireless communication device with access to the internet. And one of the original iPhone's most revolutionary features was that it allowed users to command the device using only their fingers on a touchscreen. And then, of course, over the last 10 plus years, you've seen the entire industry move into the early majority, late majority, in fact, into the laggard phase. And some studies have said that it's not a single community on the planet now that doesn't have mobile phones. So we've, in our lifetime, just over the past couple of decades, we've seen the entire industry go through the diffusion of innovation curve, not once, but twice, reinventing itself. And so here's my point. You may, as a business owner, need to rethink, reimagine your business and differentiate yourself and figure out a way to get into that early adopter, early majority phase. And then your job is to educate your market on your unique selling proposition and guarantee. So you've got to find a unique selling proposition that puts you at the right place in the curve. You've got to develop a guarantee that removes the risk. And then small business owners, you must be amazing communicators, because one of the attributes of the early adopter phase is that people just don't know very much about what makes you different. So you have to communicate. So one of the things we do in this portion of the coaching process is to help you develop and communicate your USP and guarantee. So here's an example of what we did with a client who was a web design company. Here's an ad from a typical competitor. Hey, web design, clean, eye-catching SEO designs. Let's get started. Here's another competitor. Hey, website design, let us design and develop your website, blah, blah, blah. And we come to another one. Hey, we design, develop, and optimize websites that showcase your business services, increase traffic, generating sales. Are you starting to get the picture? There's no distinction. It's all the same stuff. And what the people who have created these ads haven't realized is you're putting yourself on the far right side of the bell curve, where everybody is going to do the same things. What we say to our clients, if you want to be able to on the left-hand side of the curve, you're going to have to find a place in a value proposition that differentiates you. So when we started coaching this website design business, we said, hey, we need a unique selling proposition backed by a risk-removing guarantee. So here's what we came up with. 5 questions you should ask before hiring a web design company. Will you give me all of my money back if I don't like your web design? Yes. Will you guarantee to help my website be at the top of the search engines? Yes. Will you take responsibility for driving traffic to my website? Yes. Will you write high quality website content for me? Yes. So how long have you been in business? 2007. Now, if you know anything about web marketing, you know it's not easy to make these guarantees and keep them. It's not. But these guys really had developed some unique skills in their business. And so they said, hey, call now for our free website analysis and marketing consultation. And they had the contact information there. How did it work? Well, with their old ad content, they hadn't made a single sale, but within just 1.5 months of developing this USP and guarantee, putting it on their website and other places, teaching their salespeople how to sell in this way, they generate just under $12,500 in new revenue. And that's the power of an effectively communicated USP and guarantee. You see, this ad content was developed using the timeless formula called AIDA. It goes back 100 years. AIDA begs with an attention-getting headline, interest-generating body copy, a desire-creating offer, and then a strong call to action. And we believe in this formula because it's been generating millions of dollars, millions of pounds for advertisers for more than a century. So part of our job when we coach you is to get you through the creation phase. And then to do this, we've got to research and think about what are you going to do that makes you unique in your market. In other words, what are we going to do that you can stand by as a guarantee and really get you, sets you apart as unique. And when we've worked that out and then we're ready to capture people's attention, interest them in what's they're selling, create a desire to have it, and then tell them exactly what to do to buy. And that's such an important concept when getting your business started and moving through the creation stage. And after you've worked through the creation stage, you're ready to launch into the chaos phase. And the focus here is to invest, to drive, to grow your business. At this step, we focus on these 4 silver bullets: the break-even plan, the tactical marketing plan, the sales management system, and the team building system. So let's talk to you a little bit about the first one, the break-even plan, because this is critical. one of the things we pay a lot of attention to is the break-even point in the business's financial model. And what we're trying to do is hit that magic break-even number as fast as we can. And that's shown graphically here in the chaos phase. And what we cross over is that gray line at the bottom. Most new businesses never make it past this break-even point, or don't make it fast enough and run out of cash. And the first silver bullet we focus on at the chaos stage is your financial model. As your coach, the best thing I can do to help you is to get through that chaos stage is to make sure your financial model is sound. What we have to know that you can make profit in your business. Now, how many of you have been in that break-even chart before? At that chaos step, our number one goal is hitting that magic break-even number as fast as we can. And that's shown graphically here with that big round circle marked break-even. Most new businesses never make it past that break-even point, or don't make it fast enough and run out of cash. So let me explain this chart to you and show you how it works, because just a lot of business owners don't really understand the drivers that impact their break-even number. So every business has a set of fixed costs, which you can see here are shown in this red line at 500,000. And the goal of the business, of course, is to keep those as low as possible, but some of them you have to have. And then you've got variable costs shown in orange, also called cost of sales by many people. And these are the costs that are directly related to every unit that you sell. And when you add your variable cost to your fixed cost, you get your total expenses, which is shown here in the gray line. So revenue has to grow to a point where your revenue is higher than your total expenses. And when you do that, you pass over break even, you get to that place we call, of course, net profit. Now, the goal is to figure out exactly what your break even number is and to keep it as low as possible by being ruthlessly conservative with your expenses, which also driving revenue as hard and fast as you can. And we drive revenue, of course, using the tactical marketing plan and our sales management system, and we build a team as we go. Now, the amazing thing about understanding your break-even financial is that if you just pay attention to a couple of key things, you can very quickly move your business up and into this profit zone, and even head toward maximum utilization, which is a condition where you're driving the business as hard as you can with the existing assets. So the two things you're trying to do, you're trying to lower your fixed costs and you're trying to drive sales. How do we drive our revenues? We do it with the silver bullet called the tactical marketing plan and the sales management system. And to understand these two silver bullets work together, we use the profit equation. Now, this is a financial model we call the profit equation. Now, every business wants to make a profit, and there are some things that you can't control and there's some things that you can control. Now, you're going to produce a massive profit by having customers who are giving you revenue while you're controlling your expenses, but you're going to get customers by gathering leads and converting them into sales. So let's talk about how that works. Now, looking at this middle column, let's say your business is generating 1,000 leads. Every one of those leads that comes into the space of a year is going to have a certain conversion rate, a certain percentage of those that convert to new customers. In this case, you might say, hey, I've got 200 new customers, which is a 20% conversion rate. If we add that to our retained customers, presumably if this business has been in business for a number of years, it's got some customers, and we get 900 customers, 200 new customers plus the 700 existing customers. And if the average customer is spending 1,200 a year, maybe 100 a month, we've got a business doing $1 million in revenue. And if the gross margin is 50%, then the gross profit is 540,000, and the fixed costs are 500, and we get a net profit of 40,000. Well, that's not a lot of money for you as a business owner. That's just not a lot of money for a lot of work. So what are we going to do to develop? What we're going to do is develop a tactical marketing plan and a sales management system to drive these indicators, these key performance indicators shown in black. So now look at this column on the right. With just a 10% increase, we can see absolute magic start to take place in virtually any small business. A 10% increase in leads takes us from 1,000 to 1,100 leads. A 10% increase in conversion rate from 20% to 22%. And I've got to tell you, I love seeing a small business where the conversion rate is less than 50%, because it's not hard to double a conversion rate of leads to new customers. In fact, In most businesses, we go from 20 to 40 by scripting your sales approach, improving the quality of your sales proposals or presentations or what have you. But if you have just a 10% increase, we get to 22% conversion rate. Now we're adding 242 customers a year instead of 200. If we add to the customers we just had last year at 900, we now have 1,142. Now, what if we increase the revenue per customer per year? What if we start saying and staying in touch with our old inactive customers? What if we just start sending them educational content to rebuild and warm the relationship? What if we start sending special offers? What if we make phone calls and listen to what they have to tell us? What if we bundle up different things and make offers that they haven't had a chance to see before? It's so easy to get a 10% increase in revenue per customer, which takes our revenue from $1 million to $1.5 million. And what if we increase our gross margin from 50 to 55%? What if we, in your business, squeeze another 5% of gross profit out of every sale we make? And it's just not hard when we get the team involved and we begin to eliminate waste and get the team looking for ways to operate more efficiently. And it's not that difficult. And in this business, we can go from 540 to 829,000 in gross profit. And what if we lower our fixed costs? What if we offer some profit to our team for finding ways to cut our fixed costs? What if we just get smarter in the things that we do? A business like this can go from 40,000 to 379,000 in profit in just a year with a mere 10% increase in these 5 KPIs. And I'll tell you, I've seen this happen so many times as a business coach. It's just so fun. It's life-changing. It's life-altering. It's marriage-saving in many cases. It's inspiring. And this is one of the reasons we do what we do as business coaches. And well, here's our marketing tactics list. It's a tool that includes more than 300 tactics for generating leads, improving conversion rates, and increasing revenue per customer. It's growing all the time as we add tactics to it. The spreadsheet can be sorted in many different ways to the business owner to choose the right tactics. And one of the best ways is to sort it based on categories. So the lead generation categories includes agency tactics, third parties who will represent your brand, content tactics, publishing your educational content, digital tactics, digital marketing strategies of all kinds, event tactics, live events of any kinds. And then the conversion rate tactics include brand message tactics, fine-tuning your message, campaign tactics, campaigns that drive in sales and selling tactics, techniques used by the sales team to improve conversions rate. And the revenue per customer categories include customer tactics, activating your customers to refer business to you, giving tactics like charity, philanthropy, and community service, and operation tactics, implementing customer centering behaviors in your business. So one of the most important things you have to recognize as you're going through the chaos phase is achieving these things is you need a team, and a really great team to get all this done. So one of the things we do as a business coach is to help you put in a team building system, which is a reliable system for placing your team members in roles best suited to their strengths and building them into a powerfully cohesive and committed team that delivers business results. And probably the world's most respected thought leader on how to build winning business teams is Patrick Lencioni, and his decades as a consultant, top companies has given him amazing insights onto teamwork. His book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is a fable about teamwork, but also a framework for how to build winning teams. It's been on Amazon's bestseller for more than a decade. If you and your employees have been struggling with teamwork, I tell you, you're not alone. And his 5 dysfunction model says that most teams are dysfunctional because of these 5 things. It begins with an absence of trust. Teams with an absence of trust will gossip about each other and refuse to give each other credit. They'll fail to collaborate and refuse to put in extra work. Most importantly, teams that don't trust each other will have a fear of conflict around important ideas or issues. Instead of healthy conflict, a distrusting team will instead agree with some reluctance to each other for fear of kinds of repercussions. They'll fear conflict, and as a result of not having good healthy debate, good healthy conflict, the team will experience a lack of commitment to the direction that the leader is proposing. And when the team lacks commitment to the direction, that team will avoid accountability. When team members are living in their isolated little silos of responsibility in any business, avoiding accountability because they don't have a commitment to the mission or the purpose of the direction, which leads to inattention to results and substandard business performance. And so that's why Patrick Lencioni in his book said, hey, it's not finance, it's not strategy, it's not technology, it's teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage because it's just so powerful and so rare. And Patrick Lencioni proposes what he calls the 5 behaviors framework. The 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team are the antidote to the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And you need to know this because if you're moving your business through the creation phase and then the chaos phase, and you must build an amazing team or you'll never make it. And you'll be one of the 90% of the businesses that fail within 10 years. And if you can't make it through the chaos phase, and to make it through the chaos phase, you need a team. You need a team that trusts. Trust lies at the heart of a functioning, cohesive team. And it happens when team members are vulnerable with each other, or they're willing to say things like, I'm sorry, or your idea was good. Those teams that trust each other then will engage in healthy conflict, which is uncomfortable, but good. Productive conflict focuses on the ideas and concepts that will make a team great. And vulnerability-based trust leads to the best solution. And the best solutions leads to buy-in, and buy-in leads to commitment. Commitment is clarity around the decision. It's not always consensus, but it's clarity around the decision. Hey, as a team, we commit to doing these things, and therefore we're willing to be held accountable. And it's easy to avoid difficult conversations, but calling out peers on performance or behavior that might hurt the team is essential. So teams that are committed to and focused on results, and teams that focus on results have the opportunity to win. So one of the things that we're going to do as we coach you through this chaos phase is look at your progress in building a team. It also starts with assessment. We start by assessing your team as they respond to question. It takes 20 minutes for your team members each to respond to a series of questions, and we'll find out, hey, do you have a low level of trust, a low, medium, or high level of conflict, commitment, accountability, and results? Where are you? And once we take this assessment, we can work to find out where we are. We can begin to work on the activities that will build the team into a powerhouse of business performance. And hey, don't worry, a lot of teams are in the red, and that's okay. But over time, we'll move your team into a very high-performing team. And that is what we're going to do, allow you to survive and break through to the chaos step and start producing strong cash flow. And that is what moves you into the control step. And the control step, unlike the chaos step, is this beautiful place. And there's a reason we color it green, and that's because it's characterized by cash, the presence of cash. And as you think about the control step, one of the questions, I want to hear, would love to hear from you. So have you ever made it through that chaos stage into the control step of business? Have you ever experienced this? Go ahead and, put that into chat, but you'll be able to identify it, because it's an amazing experience. And the whole focus of the control step is to begin to organize, begin to measure the fine points, the KPIs in your business, and begin to make adjustments to the business model. And the reason we do this is business begins to produce cash. It's so important that you don't make the mistake a lot of business owners make, which is to get so full of cash that you've been carelessly growing the business. And one of the number one killers of a business at the control step is being bloated and inefficient, unproductive payroll. And so, the silver bullets that we do, at the control step are designed to bring you from losing control of your cash and developing a bloated, inefficient payroll of people. And so we work on a cash gap plan, teach you how to negotiate with suppliers and negotiate with customers, really improve your cash flow. We teach you how to build an employee acquisition plan to win the battle for top talent, and how to put in a key performance indicator system to measure and report the critical numbers in your business. And so that these wonderful and amazing people that you are battling to win and have the cash to hire then begin to really produce in your business. And we teach you how to build a performance incentive plan into your business, how to use a psychometric profiling process to train your team members, how to interact well with each other and with customers and with prospects. And now let's have a couple of look at a couple of key concepts of the control step. One of the things we want to do at this step is always help you manage your cash very carefully. The cash gap principle is so important at the control step, because businesses can lose control of cash very quickly. And the cash gap concept is a really basic one. Most businesses buy inventory or stock. Even if you're a service-based business, the inventory you may be buying is time in the form of payroll expense. So you buy in stock or inventory, the inventory arrives, you take time to add value to that inventory, and that inventory ships at, say, 60 days. Now, you may negotiate a 30-day payable term and you become liable to make payment at 30 days, but you've taking an additional 30 days until you're ready to ship that inventory. At day 60, and then very often after you've shipped the inventory, shipped the product, you've given terms to your customers, either willingly or unwillingly, and then you've got to collect the receivables. In that case, you're receiving your cash at 120 days, so your cash gap is 90 days. That means for 3 months, you don't have the cash to use in your business, and the difference between the time that your cash is paid and the time your cash is received is called the cash gap, and it's a killer in businesses. So one of the things we do is teach you how to do what Dell did, which is to the computer people, which is to reduce your cash gap, if possible, to zero. Now, you may have heard of how Dell manages their cash, but if you've ever purchased a Dell, they actually got a negative cash gap. And the way they did that is actually you paid them your money for the computer. They went out then and buy in the parts. They make the computer. And what they do with the money is that they've collected from you while you're making your computer. They're taking the money and they're investing in it, and they're actually making interest on the money you've paid while they're making your computer. Then they ship it out to you, and then, of course, they've negotiated amazing terms with their suppliers, with their vendors, and they're hanging on to your cash as long as possible. So they've actually had your cash, and it's earning interest of them while they've been making your computer. And it's an amazing. It actually is it's called a negative cash gap. So our job as your coach is to help you manage your cash, to reduce the cash gap, preferably from 90 days to zero, even negative. And when you do that, you're able to have the cash in your business to address once and for all what people call the engagement problem. An author and speaker, Tom Peters, explained the problem this way. Most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal, except for the 8 hours they work for you. And that's called the engagement problem. It's talked a lot about in HR circles, people just not caring about what they do. And one of the ways to solve the engagement issue is to hire the right people in the first place. And one of the secrets to great hiring is putting yourself in a position where you can be choosy. A bit like fishing. The firms that get the best people are the ones that get a lot of fish on the deck and are very choosy. And one of the things we're going to teach you is how to make sure that once your business starts growing and producing cash flow, that you're very choosy about the quality of the people that you bring into your team. And to do that, we're going to teach you how to cut your mishire rate, cut the rate at which you're hiring the wrong people. And we teach you through a thing called job matching. And research has shown that if all you do is interview somebody, you're going to have a 52% chance at success. And to save yourself the time, don't do an interview, just flip a coin. Heads you're hired, tails you don't. You've got as much chance. If all you're doing is interviewing, which is what the vast majority of business owners do, you're going to have a high mishire rate. But if you add reference checks, if you add behavior and personality assessments, if you add abilities assessments and interest assessments, and you blend all that together, we can reduce your mishire rate to less than 15%. We can raise your percentage of chance to 87.5%. And that's what we're going to teach you how to do. And you may remember reading the book by Jim Collins, where he talks about the importance of getting the right people on the bus. That's what we're really talking about, getting the right people on the bus. By getting the right people on the bus, you're only just beginning. What we've got to do is get them sitting in the right seat and demonstrating the right behavior. And getting them to behave in the right way with each other, we use the 5 behaviors of the cohesive team that we talked about earlier. But we also have to get people in the right seat. We want the right people in the right role. And to do that, we have a profile that helps people get in the right role, the role best suited to their strengths. We use an instrument called the Team Dimensions Profile. And so the Team's Dimension Profile recognizes that businesses and organizations and projects tend to go through a series of phases. A project goes through a creation phase and then moves into the advancing phase. In the creation phase, the ideas are born, team members look at the problems, discussions happen. But in the advancing stage, the ideas are driven forward and communicated, and people are brought on board, and it's that process that the projects move into the refining phase, where people are analyzing it, finding flaws, improving the process, improving the plans, and then the projects are put into the execution phase. So one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to identify to get the person into the right seat of the bus, which of these phases of these projects do they prefer to do. And so what I have on my screen here are two people who are about polar opposite as you can get. The person on the left is an executor. They focus on realities, and they're also a refiner. They focus on analysis. This is a person you just want running, executing, getting the job done. And on the right, we have a person who is a creator. They focus on possibilities. This person is an advancer. They focus on interactions. If you want good ideas, and if you want somebody to go out and sell those ideas, you want that person here on the right. And so the goal, whenever you're hiring, is to get the right person in the right role, the right people in the right role, to which of these, to know which of these phases or which combination of these quadrants fits best for them. And that's how we get the right people into the right roles. Now, as we go, we're going to need to assign people KPIs, and in order for people to stay motivated, they're going to have to know how their performance is being measured. Even if they're in the right seat in the bus, they need to know how their performance is being measured. So to accomplish that, we're going to help you choose and measure the right KPIs in your business. So, for example, a manufacturer might be concerned with things like products, units produced per hour, gross profit per unit sold, product returns. And if I've got a whole team of people running a manufacturing unit or manufacturing business, we can have the right people in the right roles who will be concerned about these things, and their remuneration or compensation plans will be tied into those KPIs. Now, there are some of the key concepts that we work on when we're taking you through the control step. When you've gone through the control step, you're organized, you're measured, you're adjusted your business model, then we can move into prosperity. At the prosperity stage, we're economizing and systemizing operations, trying to squeeze more efficiency out of the business and maximize profit. And so economizing the business involves 4 steps where we're going to be working with your team, getting them into the right rhythm of recurring meetings so they can be paying attention to the optimization that we talked about before. We're going to be focusing then typically on a lean program where you're cutting production costs and going after the operational efficiencies and eliminating waste of time, material, and movement. And of course, that means you and everybody in the team will need to be really careful about with your time and optimize the way you're spending your time. And as the operations of the business begins to economize, we can actually formalize them into an operations and training manual. And the centerpiece of the time management plan is Stephen Covey's time management matrix. The basic concept around time management matrix is that time is one of these assets that's irreplaceable. Whether you invest it or spend it, it's gone forever. So Covey's matrix breaks down the things that we're going to do with our day into 4 quadrants. You've got important things and not important things, and you've got things that are urgent and not urgent. And the combination of these 2 criteria make up these 4 quadrants. So most business owners spend the majority of their time in quadrant 1, where they're actually working on truly important things in their business, and they're urgently pressing on them to get done. Crises, pressing problems with employees, client orders, projects, and firefighting. A lot of business owners spend their time doing urgent things that are not important, usually because they are other people's priorities. So these include interruptions, when somebody with a strong personality comes in and interrupts. And as business owners, we need to spend the majority of our time in quadrant number 2. This is the stuff that is important to the business, but not necessarily urgent. So things like budgeting, forecasting, like investing in important relationships so they have the strength when the relationship comes under pressure, like marketing and sales, like new account development, like educating themselves as a business owner. These are all the kinds of things that prevent fires down the road that become urgent. And the more time you spend in quadrant 2, the less time you'll spend in quadrant 1. And I'll say that again. The more time you spend in quadrant 2, the less time you'll have to spend in quadrant 1. And when you don't spend enough time on prevention and proactive things to grow the business, manage it and take care of your business, you'll end up with more crises and more firefighting. So the tool we use to help clients, that is the default calendar. This is really nothing more than a plan for how you spend your time. It's like a budget. If we don't budget our money, we'll just spend money in an undisciplined fashion. Same is true with our time. If we don't plan on how to spend our time, we'll spend time in an undisciplined way. So that's the default calendar. It's basically a budget on how you're going to spend your time. And when you've done that, you're in a position to move your business into the freedom phase or the freedom step. And the freedom step, we're looking at the comprehensive exit strategy. And at this step, what you're doing is you're focusing on building a really strong team of managers and leaders. But let's first explore why. So as a coach, I have to help my clients understand where their business is on the 5 steps to freedom, and that will determine what needs to be done to help them execute their exit strategy. And many business owners will say they want to develop a comprehensive exit strategy just because they're tired and want out of their business. But very few of them are actually ready for a comprehensive exit strategy. For example, some business owners, whilst still on the creation step, realize how challenging it is to come up with a business model that's really viable and makes money, so they decide they just want out. Some businesses at the chaos step are bleeding money and run out of access to working capital because they become before they become profitable, and they try to find a way to exit. But no one in their right mind will buy it either at the creation or chaos steps. And then you have a smaller group of business owners that have made it to the control step or even the prosperity step. They've made good money, but they're tired and kind of want to move on. And so the first step, if an owner wants to execute a comprehensive exit strategy, we have to identify what their goals are. If all they want to do is get out, then they are likely going to end up with a fire sale situation where they sell off their assets and ideally pay off their liabilities and walk away with a bit of change in their pocket. And that's okay if that's what they want to do. Unfortunately, a lot of business owners find themselves in this situation. The business doesn't have much value because it's just an extension of their personality, because they're running it, they're in the center of it, no one will pay much for that. The business owner needs to understand if they want to sell a business that has a lot of value, the business has to be transformed into a real asset that produces cash flow with or without their participation. That means growing into step 5, freedom business that people will pay for. And of course, you might have an internal buyer group of employees who are prepared to buy the business at an earlier stage. However, you are still going to be selling at a discount to the potential value, because that is what the internal team will be taking on, the risk on, that unrealized full asset value. So the comprehensive exit strategy boils down to a simple mathematical model we call the value equation, the target value of the business minus its current value and its value gap. And I help my clients work out through the mathematics and due diligence required to identify the value gap if one exists and help them close it. In our experience, 99 times out of 100, your business, the business owner will have a much bigger value gap than they expect or realize, particularly when you factor in the cost to sell and tax deductions. So that's why the other silver bullets, the organizational plan, the apprenticeship plan, and the leadership development plan are so critical at this stage. And we put an organizational plan in place to identify the roles that you've been carrying, and your goal is to delegate your roles from the bottom to the top. And again, we're hiring stars where we're putting them in place of you. And you're going to take them through a process of being apprenticed on the tasks that you do. So as well as apprenticing your leaders and the tasks that you do, we'll also have to upskill your leaders and managers. As your managers begin to grow, there's going to be more and more people going into, you're going to have leaders who can manage effectively if you're going to have the free time that you, and really enjoying the peace of mind that comes from knowing your business can run without your active involvement. So we know that there are a lot of ways to develop people, but we know that upskilling your leaders can really be reduced to really 3 ideas: crafting a vision, building alignment, and championing execution. That's called the Work of Leaders framework. It was developed by Wiley, which is a Fortune 1000 company. They looked at their leadership research from the last 3 decades, and with the help of subject matter experts, identified 3 best practices: crafting a vision, building alignment, and championing execution. And each of these skills of a leader has a subset of skills. So when you want the leaders in your business to know how to craft a vision, that means they know how to explore ideas, they know how to boldly advance ideas, and know how to test assumptions by seeking counsel. That's crafting a vision. Your leaders in your business, if you want them to be able to run it for you, you'll need to know how to build alignment. That means developing clarity on the plan, dialoguing with stakeholders, and being inspiring in the direction that is being proposed. And then your leaders are going to need to know how to champion execution, which is all about being responsible for driving momentum, building a structure, and providing feedback to the rest of the team. And the good news is, once again, all of this can be measured. All of these attributes, all of these skills can be measured. The vision best practices can be measured. The alignment execution practices can be measured. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you upskill your leaders. When you're moving through the freedom phase, the freedom step, you're going to identify your leaders. We're going to take some diagnostics on their leadership skills, and we're going to put them through a developmental plan to help them manage effectively. And a book that's been revolutionary and groundbreaking in the field of leadership is called The Flip Side by Flip Flippen. Yes, that is his real name. So we've had the personality-based theories that underpin the assessment, like DISC and Myers-Briggs. But what they give us is awareness, but they're limited in what we can develop because our personality is what it is. So then we had strength-based theories where the idea was to discover and develop strengths, but again, limited in what we can actually do to develop. So Flippen developed personal constraints theory, which identifies the top killer constraints that most people, common behavior patterns that hold people back. And it's a remarkable way of understanding how people improve and develop over a lifetime. And the faster somebody identifies and breaks the constraint that is holding them back, that behavior that is holding back, the faster they'll grow in their leadership with others, and the faster they'll move to becoming an effective leader. And Flippen founded a company called Teamalytics. They use a psychometric instrument they've developed called the Teamalytics 360 report, and it reports the 13 scales of behaviors that correlate to leadership effectiveness. So here's an example of an actual client profile comparing their data with going through the Teamalytics process with their data after the process. And you can see here, it's an amazing transformation. The list leader brought their urgency and intensity scale up so that they work harder and faster. They brought their need to nurture scale up so they're perceived as being more caring. They brought their criticality scale down so they're perceived as being more gracious and cooperative. They brought their different scale up so they're perceived as being more collaborative. And they brought their energy and expressiveness up so they're more enjoyable to be around. So friends, that's the 5 steps to freedom. And the thing to remember that in any business, you can have access to this in this day and age. So the technologies, the best practices, and the process that I've just outlined through business coaching. And so really there are 2 paths that you can go from here. The one is to keep trying to improve your business on your own. And the second is to do what every winner does, which is to invest in your education, your business education, with the help of a coach. And as you know, as well as I do, every winner in every pursuit, whether it's sports, academics, or career, it doesn't matter. Every winner has a great coach. And so what I want you to do right now, I want to show you a little bit more about how coaching works. And so here's what we're going to do. As we take you through the coaching process, step 1 is we're going to clarify your vision and your goals. We need to know what your dreams are. We talked about the 5 steps to freedom today, which is, of these steps, do you want to reach? Maybe you just want to reach prosperity and have a wonderful lifestyle business. That's step 4. Or you really want your business. Maybe you dream of having multiple streams of income and you want to take your current business to step 5 so you can duplicate it, franchise it, or invest in other businesses. Whatever the case, we need to clarify your vision and goals. Then we're going to be in a position to complete your strategic plan. We're going to make sure that what we're doing with your business is really carefully thought out and will absolutely drive the income you need to achieve your dreams and your ideal lifestyle. We're going to complete your strategic plan. We normally do this very early on in the coaching process. And then third, we commence your weekly coaching sessions. We'll make sure that you're being held accountable week in, week out to do the things on a weekly basis that are going to get you to where you want to go. So I'm going to take you through a process of helping you identify where you are in the 5 steps to freedom and which silver bullets need to be deployed in your business. And we'll look at forward to seeing the results as we get together. So put any final questions you might have, and we'll get to the Q&A in a few minutes. So put those in. So then just while you're doing that, you're probably in one or 2 places at the minute. You might have a healthy, profitable business. You have all the time and money freedom. Life is great. That's brilliant. I'm really excited for you. If you're not getting all the time and money freedom and you need from your business, and coaching with me sounds like something you'd like to explore, I really invite you to book a confidential 15-minute call to discuss your situation. There's no hard sell, no obligation. I only work with people that I feel confident I can help and share the same philosophy. It feels like a potential fit. We'll go ahead and block out a longer complimentary coaching, no obligation, free, and we can explore what's going on for you and your business and you can experience my coaching. Complimentary, of course, as I say, there's no charge to you because we want to see what it's all about. Are we a fit? Could we possibly work together? And that's you. Go to timewithshane.com and book your 15-minute initial call, and then we'll get a longer call scheduled in. And if you're wondering, is coaching worth it? I can give you a guarantee. My guarantee is that you'll agree after 4 months, the coaching has paid for itself. If you you even get to decide by what measure, by what standard. So if you're thinking coaching is kind of risky, let me take that risk off the table. I know there's no risk. I've worked with many clients. Not one of them has actually claimed the guarantee. And here's the deal with that. You have to give me a guarantee as your coach. I'm on the sidelines. You're the owner. You're on the playing field. If you're not showing up on the playing field, I can't help you from the sidelines. So if you complete the assignments, you've agreed to, I'll never tell you to do something. It's something that you've agreed to do, then I know it's going to pay off. The truth is, coaching works. So if coaching with me sounds like something you'd like to explore, I invite you to book in a 15-minute initial call at timewithshane.com. Go there and book yourself in. Feels like a fit, we'll go ahead and schedule a longer complimentary coaching session. So let's have a look at any remaining questions. Thanks so much for being on the 5 Steps to Freedom webinar today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you very soon.